In August 2015, Donald Trump is mid-campaign.
Thank you, everybody.
At this point, still fighting for the Republican Party's nomination.
Thank you, everybody. Take a picture. Thank you.
The campaign stops in Dubuque, Iowa. Trump stages a news conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Trump will take...
In the room, Jorge Ramos, the most influential Spanish-language journalist in the U.S.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
I love that question because, hopefully, maybe somebody...
And what happens next launches a significant change in coverage of Trump's campaign.
And they come out and they can't get a job in this country.
In the months to come, many journalists recalibrate their approach, speaking in a less detached, more critical voice. Based in Miami, Univision is the country's largest Spanish-language TV network.
Este es su noticiero Univision con Jorge Ramos y María Elena Salinas.
More than 50 million Latinos now live in the U.S. Most are new immigrants, have parents who immigrated, are undocumented workers. For Univision, that's their audience, representing them, defending them, taking a pro-immigrant view of all the issues. For 30 years, Ramos has anchored the evening news. He, too, is an immigrant, born in Mexico and now an American citizen. Ramos considers himself just a reporter asking questions, but on the immigration debate, by his own admission, he is defiantly not neutral. As he sees it, immigrants are easy targets in a presidential election, and he will take a stand.
Lunes 3 de octubre, estas son las principales noticias. La Fiscalía de Nueva York ordena a la fundación de Donald Trump que pare de recaudar fondos por no tener permiso para hacerlo.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Ramos was particularly stunned by that remark. Rejected many times for an interview with Trump, now he was determined to get his one-on-one with the candidate. Most anchors don't jump on a plane and go to interview the candidate on a daily basis. So why did you make the decision that you had to go to Iowa to confront Donald Trump?
When he said that Mexican immigrants were criminals and rapists and drug traffickers, and I know that it's not true because the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals or rapists, and they're less likely either to be behind bars or to have problems with the law. I wanted to ask him a lot of questions, but he just didn't want to talk to me. And I needed to do something as a journalist. So I had the option of waiting, reporting from the outside, or trying to find him. And that's what I did. And as you know, television doesn't happen. Television is produced, is created. And so we brought 3 cameras, we brought microphones, and our purpose was to talk to Donald Trump and confront Donald Trump. That was the purpose as a journalist.
A confrontation.
I wanted to ask him a question, many questions, but the questions had to be challenging. So at the end, yes, it was going to be a confrontation. I didn't plan a confrontation, but we were expecting a confrontation.
A confrontation, a moment of drama. When deconstructed, it says a great deal about Donald Trump, the candidate, and Jorge Ramos, the journalist. Trump surfs the room. Jorge Ramos seizes the moment.
Okay, who's next? Yeah, please. Excuse me, sit down. You weren't called. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
As an immigrant and as a
Go
U.S.
ahead.
citizen, I have the right to ask the question.
No, you
and
don't.
this is the question.
You haven't been called.
No, I have the right to ask the question.
Go back to
and
Univision.
This is the question.
Go ahead.
You cannot deport 11 million.
Go ahead.
You cannot deport 11 million people. You cannot build a 1,900-mile wall. You cannot deny citizenship to children in this
Sit
country.
down,
And with those ideas,
You weren't told.
No, I'm a reporter and don't touch me, sir. Don't touch me.
It's now 25 seconds since Ramos first stood, refusing to sit down. Security steps in.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Jim.
You just got to wait your turn. You don't just start taking over the press conference.
I can ask a question.
Yes, in order.
I have the right to ask a question.
Okay. When you have that turn.
I have the right to ask a question.
Yes, in turn.
You keep calling it questions, your questions, where in fact you didn't ask a question, right?
Well, at the beginning.
Well, at the beginning you said, Mr. Trump, I have questions for you, okay? But then, I'll just repeat them. They're statements, they're not questions.
I'm giving the facts so he knows what I'm going to be asking. Go ahead.
Okay. You cannot deport 11 million people.
Yes.
Statement. You cannot build a 1,900-mile wall. Statement. You cannot deny citizenship to children in this country. Statement. That's as far as it got before you were...
Those are facts. And then the question was going to be, you are giving people, you're offering empty promises. And then the question was going to be, how are you going to deport 11 million? How are you going to build the wall? And how are you going to change the Constitution to do that?
Is that not debatable, whether those
are
facts?
Of course,
I mean, you can't build a 1,900-mile wall? I mean, if you want to build a 1,900-mile wall, you can build a 1,900-mile wall.
Many people have tried, and no one has been able to do that.
The Chinese seem to be able to build one.
Well, between Mexico and the United States, there are 1,900 miles. And they've only been able to build 670 miles of wall so far. So they haven't been able to do that. No one ever has tried to deport 11 million people from the United States. Can you imagine? He wants to do it in 2 years. That means he wants to deport more than 15,000 people every single day. That's filling up 30 747s every single day. Can he do that? I don't think so. And finally, he has to change the Constitution to deny citizenship to the children of undocumented immigrants here. So, for me, those are the facts that I know.
Ramos is now outside the room as a Trump supporter charges at him.
You're very rude. It's not about you.
It's not about
Get out of my country. Get out.
This is
not about you.
I'm a U.S. citizen too.
Well, whatever. No, Univision. No, it's not about you.
It's not about you. It's about the United States.
Hi, I'm Hope. It's nice to meet you.
Hey, how are you?
Expelling Ramos is by now reverberating in the worst way for Trump's campaign. A Trump advisor is sent out and invites him back into the room.
Evangelicals. Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Absolutely.
For
Good.
allowing
Absolutely.
me
Good to have you
ask
back.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So,
He does manage to put his questions to Trump, but the episode that matters most has already made its mark in the story of this campaign.
Good evening, I'm Jim Shooter. You've been listening to the GOP frontrunner Donald Trump. The signature moment of this press conference very early on when he dismissed, in fact silenced, Univision anchor Jorge Ramos when he tried to engage him in a conversation about immigration.
Some pretty weighty journalistic organizations took you on. They didn't go for this. They said a few things. Politico's Marco Caputo said this is bias, taking the news personally, advocating an agenda. The Washington Post called you a conflict junkie, saying you were just looking for the moment. How do you respond to that?
when you have a candidate doing things like that, what are we supposed to do as journalists? Are we supposed to just be recorders? I don't think so. I think we have to analyze what's happening and then confront those who are in power. I was taking a stand, and the best examples that we have of great journalism in this country, in the United States, have happened when journalists take a stand. Eduardo Moro did it with McCarthy.
And Cronkite did it on Vietnam.
On many occasions. So,
do you equate this moment to those?
No, what I'm saying is that I've learned from them. What I'm saying is that we will be judged as journalists by how we responded to Donald Trump.
Parecía una zona de guerra. Había agentes de la patrulla fronteriza armados y enmascarados.
Ramos comes by a combative style honestly, shaped by a part of the world where journalism is considered a contact sport. You see it in his vigorous approach telling the immigrant story.
Pasan miles de inmigrantes cada día.
And it is not advocacy. Advocacy would be to to be partisan, to support a Democratic Party or the Republican Party, or to support a candidate. I've never done that in my life. But I think it is not only acceptable, but it is my responsibility, my obligation to present that point of view of the immigrants to the rest of the country. And that's exactly what I've been doing.
You've also been...
And if I may say,
right.
I've been tough on Donald Trump, but I've asked President Barack Obama
You call him the deporter-in-chief.
Well, I was quoting someone else.
Yeah.
And
but you said it to his face.
Exactly.
And it was a testy exchange.
And I criticized President Barack Obama because he has deported more immigrants, 2.5 million, than any other president in the history of the United States. And I questioned Hillary Clinton during the presidential debate on her emails on Benghazi. So it is not that I'm advocating for just one party or the other. I'm criticizing Hillary Clinton, President Barack Obama, and Donald Trump at the same time.
You see news organizations using the word liar in a way we've never seen before. You see the Huffington Post, every column they write on Trump concludes this way: Donald Trump regularly incites political violence and is a serial liar, rampant xenophobe, racist, misogynist, and birther, who has repeatedly pledged to ban all Muslims, 1.6 billion members of an entire religion, from entering the U.S. They say this after every story about Donald Trump, no matter what that story is. Now, a lot of this has happened since that moment in Iowa.
And we were alone. And I was fiercely criticized after doing that. And now, more than a year later, many journalists are doing exactly the same. I don't know, honestly, if Donald Trump is a racist. I don't know. But I do know what's coming out of his mouth. And what's coming out of his mouth are racist remarks, are sexist remarks, are lies. And if we don't say that as journalists, who's going to say that?
Now, you see a lot of foreign leaders kind of hesitant to enter the fray, including the Canadian leader, Prime Minister Trudeau. Basically saying, look, I may have to work. I have to work with whoever wins.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be very careful about what I say. Is that a cop-out?
I understand that they have to think about their country before the candidate. But where is the courage? If I cannot understand Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto. When Trump insulted Mexican immigrants, where was he? Peter, it took him 265 days to react, to say for the first time something against Donald Trump, defending Mexican immigrants. Why are they so afraid of Donald Trump? If Donald Trump is making racist and sexist remarks, why are they silent?
What's the lesson of this election?
For me, the big lesson is don't leave the room, don't sit down, and don't keep quiet. Those are the reasons why I'm doing journalism. And for me, those are the lessons. When you see a political figure like Donald Trump, you cannot be silent. You have to take a stand.
Si no, vaya a univisionoticias.com, ahí le dicen cómo registrarse para votar. Gracias.
Diagonal vota.